All right, here we are. Bible History Lesson 29, Israel enters Canaan. There are 3 footnotes. The first one is in the 3rd paragraph, and it's the word he, and that is talking about God. The second one, number 2, is in the 4th paragraph, and it says meditate. That means to read something and think about it. And then number 3 is down in the 3rd from the bottom, talking about the Ark of the Covenant. And that's a golden chest that was carried on 2 poles that symbolizes the throne of God. And if you would look up Exodus 25, 10 through 22, it will tell you all about what it looked like and how they carried it. All right, here we go. Israel enters Canaan. This is out of Deuteronomy chapter 34, and then Joshua verses 1 through 5. So we're moving quite ahead in the Old Testament. Here we go. Moses went up from the plains to Mount Nebo. The Lord showed him all the land. The Lord said to him, "This is the land of which I swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. I will give it to your offspring. I have let you see it with your eyes, but you shall not go over there." So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died. He buried him, meaning God. But no one knows the place of his burial to this day. The people of Israel wept for Moses 30 days. After the death of Moses, the Lord said to Joshua, "Now arise, go over this Jordan, into the land that I am giving to the people of Israel. Be strong and very courageous. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night. Then you will have good success. Do not be frightened, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." Joshua commanded the officers of the people, "Prepare your provisions, for within 3 days you are to pass over this Jordan to go in to take possession of the land that the Lord your God is giving you." The people set out from their tents to pass over the Jordan with the priests bearing the Ark of the Covenant. And as soon as the feet of the priests bearing the ark were dipped in the brink of the waters coming down from above stood and rose up in a heap. Now the priests bearing the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord stood firmly on dry ground, and all Israel was passing over on dry ground until all finished passing over the Jordan. When the soles of the priests' feet were lifted up on dry ground, the waters returned to their place and overflowed all its banks. Soon they celebrated the Passover. The day after the Passover, they ate of the produce of the land, unleavened cakes and parched grain. There was no longer manna for the people of Israel, but they ate of the fruit of the land of Canaan that year. All right, so going over to page 65 for reflection. Number 1, God told Joshua, "Be strong and very courageous. This book of the law did not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night." This one we're going to talk about right away because it's important that we keep God's word in our hearts and minds on a daily basis. That's why I try to give you a Bible passage to look at each day. And if you have the kind of Bible, like Leah has one, I think, it gives you different places to look out for different things. Get in that Bible and look and stay in God's word. We should always keep it right here. We're in some very odd and strange times these days. Keep God's word right there in front of you always. It's one of the reasons we do memory work. We want God's word on our hearts and in our minds. Okay, I think we will just go on number 3. The name Joshua means the Lord saves. So think about how Jesus has saved you, and it gives you courage to live for him now. All right, so in the soft cover book, it's lesson 29. It's either page, I don't have your books, your pages are different than mine, but it's either page 39 or 40. Maybe someone could email me that, and I'll email it, or just email it to everybody. But you can look at the titles. It's lesson 29, Israel enters Canaan. I want you to do number 1, 2, the second question on 3. You're going to, on number 3, it asks you to list all the directions God gave Joshua, but just read them over and then answer the second part of number 3. And then go ahead and do 4, 5, 6, and 7. Do all of working with God's word. and do applying God's word number 1. And then we'll talk about number 3 briefly too. So if you want to pause or stop right now and do the work and then come back, because I'm going to give the answers right now. So thinking about God's word number 1, just as Israel was about to enter Canaan, what did the Lord show Moses from Mount Nebo? The whole land. What happened to Moses then? He died. Why does no one know where the grave of Moses is? That's a good question. I'm looking at their answer. If you thought about it, why does no one know where the grave of Moses is? Sometimes people go to graves and they honor the people, but God is to be honored and not Moses. Moses did great works for God, but it was God who worked through Moses. So people might honor Moses as a god instead of God. So this could be one reason why. Another question I've got in here is, how do we know that most likely Moses did not write the ending of these first 5 books? It's because he died. So quite likely somebody else wrote about it afterwards. All right, number 2. Why did the Lord not permit his servant Moses to go into the promised land? Well, we didn't have this story in here, but if you go back into Numbers 27 through 12, which you should have done so you could look at this story, Moses disobeyed by striking a rock instead of just speaking to the rock. So he did something out of his anger. Number 3, you were supposed to list the directions God gave to Joshua, the new leader, but I asked you just to read them over, but here they are. Go over this Jordan, be strong and very courageous. The book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night. Now the question I asked you to answer was, how would he be successful? This is important. He would be successful by God's power and with his presence. Number 4, when the people were ready to enter the land, who went first? The priests. Why was this proper? Well, they were carrying the Ark of the Covenant. Number 5, how is it possible for the people of Israel to pass over the Jordan on dry ground? Well, again, God caused the waters to part. They got a miracle. 6, when did the waters of the Jordan flow as before? When the priests left the river. As soon as they stepped off, waters flowed back. Now, number 7, why did manna stop falling from heaven? Well, the people could eat the food in the land of Canaan. They didn't need it anymore. They had new food. All right, going on with working with God's word. Number 1, the Israelites grieved for Moses 30 days. Number 2, God told Joshua, this book of the law shall not depart from your mouth. 3, the priests carried the Ark of the Covenant. 4, the water flowing down to the Salt Sea was cut off. And 5, upon entering the promised land, the people ate some unleavened cakes and parched grain. Next section, you are to draw a line under the word or phrase that makes each sentence true. Number 1, the Lord buried Moses. Number 2, Joshua was chosen by God to lead the children of Israel into Canaan. Number 3, Joshua said, within 3 days you are to pass over this Jordan. And number 4, the Israelites had to cross the Jordan to get into the promised land. Applying God's word, number 1, through what means did God promise to make Joshua prosperous and successful? Well, the answer to that is God directed Joshua to the daily use of his word, in other words, the book of the law. So we, too, are to be in God's word daily. Does that mean bad things won't happen? No, but it means no matter what does happen, God is with us. He wants to draw us closer to him, and through reading his word and staying in prayer, staying in worship, he will draw us closer to him, and we'll get through whatever we're going through, which right now is quite interesting. So be sure you're staying in God's word and that you're praying. There are opportunities online to watch the church services, and there will be some other upcoming things online as well. No, I don't have a final thought on that. The next lesson will be the conquest of Canaan. Now, they're in the land, see, but there are people there. So we will get to that next time. And that I will probably make my next video on Monday. So over the weekend I won't do anything, but Monday and Tuesday of next week I will have the Conquest of Canaan 30 and 31 and Gideon, which is an interesting story also. So those will be coming up next week, and after that it will be Easter break, and we won't be doing any work at all, except I hope you will still stay in the Word, and I may still send you some Bible passages to read, especially if you want to read about Holy Week and Good Friday, Maundy Thursday, and then of course Easter. So I will see you again soon. Take care. Bye.